Hello and welcome to another beautiful day here in beautiful Nova Scotia. A beautiful day inside the greenhouse, devilishly chilly outside the greenhouse. But as I said, beautiful inside the greenhouse, quite warm enough for me just to have my cap rather than the old woolly hat. And I've even discarded my big green fleece, which is making me a little bit feel a bit naked, but let's not dwell on that too much. So, what am I doing today? Well, I was starting to get ready to do a bit of seed sowing, and I was getting some of these plastic seed trays out, like you normally do for seed sowing, and one of these is broken again. And I'm going to tape it up because I was reflecting on, essentially this breaking and then having to chuck it away, and the whole, this becomes goes to the rubbish tip or the garbage tip, whatever you want to call, and gets thrown away, and I never know where it's going to end up. Is it going to end up in landfill and be 500 years before it breaks down? And I was thinking about last year I did a video on trying to cut down on plastic, and that's one of my big aims again this year, is to reduce my use of plastic and, where possible, increase my use of or the length of use of the plastic that I do have. So, like I said, this plastic seed tray, because it's broken, I'm not going to throw it away. I'm just going to get some tape and tape it up and try to increase the use of it. So I thought what I'd do again, and I want to try and do this every single year because I feel this is massively important. I was watching one of David Attenborough's animal documentaries. I'm not sure whether it was called Life or This Beautiful Planet, and again we were talking about how the different especially the sea is being affected by plastic, and I think it's something like is allegedly 51 trillion microparticles of plastic in the sea, and they reckon by 2050 there's going to be more bits of plastic in the sea than there are actual animals, and that is crazy. And also another boring fact, I think last year something like 350,000 pounds, where are we, 350,000 pounds of horticultural plastic enters the waste stream every single year in America alone. That's just ridiculous. 350,000 pounds of waste plastic every single year in just America. So the rest of the world is just ridiculous to even think of. So if we want to give out, as part of environmental sustainability, giving something to my boy when he's older, a planet that my boy can live on, then every one of us needs to be reducing our plastic waste. And I'm actually, I don't care that I sound preachy, because it is important that it needs to be preached, and there needs to be, some real action from the governments down. But at least I know I can do a little bit to help. And if every one of us does that little bit, then we are going to help. And it is so much, so important. So what I thought I'd do today is highlight where I try and reduce plastic, two, try and use things more sustainably in my garden, from literally starting seeds all the way to this greenhouse, which is a lot of recycled stuff. So that's what I thought I'd do today. So we're going to start with seeds. So obviously one of the main things you can do is save seeds. I have, excuse me, where are we? Not there. Kale seeds. Now, my wife was going to throw this plastic bag out after using it in the food, but I washed it out, dried it out, but then saving seeds. So these are kale seeds. There are literally thousands in there. And kale will last a good 5 years. I don't think I'm ever going to use this many seeds, but what it does mean is I don't have to buy any seeds from anybody else. So number one, they don't have to make that the whether the plasticky or the packaging for those seeds That seed doesn't have to be delivered, so there's not fuel used to deliver these seeds, etc. And I know that sounds a bit too far, but if you think about all of those things, just me saving these seeds has saved a whole chain of operations that causes heat and fuel and all of that sort of stuff. So saving seeds, there's number one. So I've taken these kale seeds now. I'm going to plant these kale seeds. And what do I need to plant these kale seeds? Well, obviously I've got this plastic tray. So with the plastic trays that I do have, I want to keep hold of them and use them for as long as possible. So I need to repair them, etc. But another way also is for me not to buy any more plastic seed trays. And I have been, if I can actually get it apart, aha, right, I have been making seed trays out of pallets. And there's a video up there, if those of you who haven't seen it yet, on how to make a seed tray out of pallets. Obviously you need pallets that are good for use, don't have chemically treated, etc. And you know, I'm always talking about that when I'm talking using pallets. But pallet seed trays, absolutely brilliant. I've been making them for the last 3 years, and they're fantastic, sturdy as you like. They'll last quite a few years, much better than plastic. So there you go. So there's one bit. We've got our seeds that we saved from last year. I've now got a pallet seed tray that I've recycled from pallets, obviously. Now I need a medium for the seeds to go in. So instead of buying compost, soil, seed soil from a shop, why not, where are we? Why not make your own? Here we are. So, a good medium for sowing your seeds in is sieved leaf mould. As you can see, beautiful, crumbly, light mixture. And I talk about this in my seed video that I made last month or so. But this is great stuff. Nice and light, just what the seeds need. Doesn't have too many nutrients in it, which is not what your newly opening seedlings need. So great stuff. So I haven't had to go out and buy this stuff, so it's saving me money, and I'm also reusing old plastic bags that the old soil that I got came in. So I'm reusing those bags as much as is possible. So there we go. Nice bit of sieved leaf mould. It takes you a couple of years to make it in the first place. So we're talking, when you first do it, you're planning a couple of years ahead. But these are things that we can start to do to reduce our footprint, our carbon footprint, over the next few years. So this is great, and I highly recommend the leaf mould. And there are other different types of soil that you can make. Even from your own compost, you can sieve that up and get it nice and thin. Mix it with a bit of leaf mould, etc. And that again is going to be a great seed sowing soil for you. So there we go. So even from our very start now, we haven't had to go to the shop. We've got our seeds that we saved from last year. We've got our box, our tray. I've even made my own seed sowing soil. And with the seeds that you're saving, obviously, just leave a couple of your plants go all the way to wild, go to flower, and then let them seed, and that's how you're going to save your seeds. So another great resource that you can use for your seed starting are toilet rolls. Mrs. F has been saving these up for me. So I've got toilet rolls and the old the holders for kitchen towels, etc. Any of that sort of stuff. Great for seed starting, especially legumes and your different types of beans that have a long root run, I pile a load of these up in a tray like this. Obviously fill them up with earth. What I actually do is make some cuts like so, fold them in like a cardboard box, something like that. I basically fold it, and then there's your little holder, nice and long, and then I just fill the tray up with those, and then and the good thing about them is you can plant them straight in the ground, and the beans and the peas, etc. Just the roots come straight out the bottom. So that's, and you're not disturbing the roots of those, and that sometimes you have a bit of transplant shock with your beans and peas if you start them up early. This is a good way of preventing that, because you're not disturbing the roots at all, straight in the ground. So there's another good resource for your seed starting. You've already bought them, so you might as well use them. And if you've got too many in the end, then again, these can go in the compost as well. Just tear these up and put these as part of your carbon input into the compost. So our seeds are starting to have germinated. They're starting to grow now, and we want to pop them up. So again, we can use these trays again, just another tray, but also when they're getting a bit bigger, we've got our yogurt pots here. As you can see, I'm overwintering a yew sapling here, and it doesn't look in much good condition, but it is alive, don't worry. But these are perfect little pots. Drill some holes in the bottom, and away you go. So instead of chucking these away all the time, we could be using these as our own little plastic pots. So that is good. And another thing I didn't mention yet, your old chicken containers. So here, I sowed some aster seeds in here, and hey presto, so there is my leaf mould compost, etc. And we've got the plastic lid that comes in, a perfect mini greenhouse. Now in the next week or so, I'll be potting these up into a bigger tray, but this has been a perfect little unit, self-contained unit to germinate these seeds. And I've got a few of these. I've got some impatiens in another one. Yeah, so these are fantastic. So there's plastic. My old mushroom containers. The mushrooms came in, no point throwing them away yet. They're a bit flimsy, but no more flimsy than the other containers that are coming. So I can sow some seeds in these as well. And your salad. Mrs. F bought some salad. Or something like that. And there's the sort of, they come in this thing. There's a perfect little greenhouse lid to go over the top there. Just keep hold of these, and jobs are good. I've got these in various different sizes. I think some cakes came in there for my boy's birthday party. So again, another perfect little greenhouse lid. So I'll try to keep hold of these as much as is possible. And what else we got? Right, so your plastic water bottles. We have to buy water in most of the time because we're on a well. There's a lot of arsenic in the water around here, so we end up having to buy plastic bottles. Now I know we get money back. Mrs. F is always saving all the bottles up to get the money back on these bottles, and they're probably been recycled properly. But also, I can use these as little greenhouses, and a few of these, I put these on a few little plants that I put seedlings as I put out early, and to protect them from the frost. Perfect little greenhouse that goes over the top of them, and I put a couple of these metal points in, and I just wedge that in the ground and they don't go anywhere. Put one either side. Perfect little greenhouse there. And what else am I going to use them for? This year I'm going to be cutting these halfway round, and I'm going to be making a set of planters up, maybe in the greenhouse but outside. As you can see, I think I've got a picture up there, and that's all these planters. I'm going to be using these to make these planters. So another good way of using these bottles over and over and over again. What else have we got? So we planted our seeds, we potted up our seedlings, and we've even potted up those seedlings to make individual pots, etc. What I forgot to do was mark what those actual plants, individual plants were. And where you've got things like margarine tubs and your smaller plastic containers that are not deep enough really to be sort of planting plants up, you can cut them up and reuse those again and again as little plant labels. And you know, I just get those, reuse them. When I finish with them this time, I'll just put them back in the pot and just reuse them over and over again. Easy to do, just cut them up with some scissors and they mark up nicely. So that is a very good reuse of plastic tubs, etc. What else have I got down here? So now we've that's basically all around your sort of your seedlings, your seeds, your seedlings, potting them up, etc. Containers, all that sort of thing, really good. And then, so we're planting our stuff outside. So maybe we want to be using, I've created a brand new area last year, a whole new bed. And instead of digging it all over, what I did was I put down a whole mulch of cardboard and then some compost on top. So in many instances, instead of using things like your sort of plastic weed cloth, etc., why don't you use cardboard instead? Brilliant stuff. Like I said, last year I covered a whole area with cardboard, and I got that cardboard from work. Different places you can get it, for, you know, bike shops have lots of cardboard. Half the time they don't know what to do with it. So go down to your bike shop, local hardware store, and say, look, if you've got any cardboard you want to get rid of, and that's brilliant stuff for covering the ground. And then you cover that with compost, and then that has the double bonus of killing the weeds off, choking all the light out to the weeds, and then it rots down and adds some organic matter to the actual soil itself, improving the soil. So that's, you know, there's a double bonus of using your cardboard as a mulch. Other uses for cardboard. So again, I've managed to get Mrs. F to start using brown paper instead of all your different coloured papers for Ethan's birthday presents. So I can reuse this paper now, and all I have to do is tear this paper up, stick it in the compost with all the rest of the gear, and there's your brown carbon material to mix in with more of your green stuff. And you can do that with cardboard boxes as well. Just make sure you take off the plastic tape, etc. And then that's really good. Like I said, tear it all up nice and small, stick it in with the compost, and there's great carbon material for the compost. What else have I done in the garden? So obviously, bigger plant pots, etc. I've made planters. As you can see, the other day I released a video on how to make a multi-tiered veg planter. That's all out of pallets. Any old sort of old wood you can use. Reusing wood as much as is possible is a really good thing. Pallets are brilliant, and obviously one of the piece de resistance of my pallet work is my greenhouses. So last year I made that greenhouse down the bottom there, and that's all the base is made from pallets, and inside all the frames, etc., is all made of pallets. Now obviously the roof is made of PVC. I can't do a lot about that, but again, what I'm trying to do is reduce my use of plastics and increase my recycling. So I'm not having to buy stuff, so it's a lot cheaper, and again, reducing that carbon footprint. And again, this one here, all the base is made of pallets, and again the frames and the raised beds are all made of pallets. The windows were recycled plastic from a friend from Sarah's boss, so we've recycled that. Where else have we recycled? These windows are glass, the old glass that go around someone's patio. A friend of ours gave us those, so that again recycled, didn't have to buy them, and they would have been quite expensive. But again, as much as is possible, I'm trying to reuse what we can around. And look, we don't want it to be a pain in the garden. You know, gardening's supposed to be fun, but it's actually fun finding different ways to reuse materials in the garden, and obviously has that bonus of being a lot cheaper. So I hope I've given you a few different ideas there of how we can reuse, recycle all the different materials, whether it be plastic, and trying to cut down on buying new plastic that comes into the garden. And obviously, I forgot this one, I sort of barely mentioned it. The old compost bags that I've got, I try reuse them over and over again, taking these down filling them with manure when I go down the local farm, or seaweed when I go down the beach, and just sticking them away and then reusing them as much as is possible. But yes, so hopefully I've given you a few different ideas of how you can reuse material, recycle, and have some fun doing it as well. But it's so important. It's so important that we try to do this as much as is possible, so that we are giving something back to the earth, and hopefully leaving something for my boy and your children in the years to come, so that they have a chance to live the good lives that we've lived so far. On that note, I'm going to carry on sowing my seeds. What am I sowing today? I am going to sow some spinach. Job's a good one.